Looking back, baby boomers took a lot of pride in the skills they mastered over the years. These things took time, patience, and know-how to get results. Revisiting these once essential life skills reminds us just how much things have changed. So let's take a look back at even more baby boomer life skills that seem useless today. Remember when cooking meant pulling out those old recipe cards that were passed down through the family? Each one held a little piece of history, handwritten with notes and tweaks added over the years. Unlike today, we used to flip through a box or a binder of recipes that were a collection of our favorite dishes. These recipes were simple, made with ingredients you always had on hand, and most importantly, they reminded you of family. Not only was it about feeding your family, but it kept some of your family traditions alive. Back before microwaves became a kitchen staple, cooking was an art form that took preparation and time. There were no ready-to-eat meals from the grocery store that could be zapped and ready in seconds. Instead, you'd plan meals for the week and cook a meal each night. The stovetop and oven got plenty of use, from things like simmering, baking, and boiling a variety of foods. You really had to know your way around the kitchen, and most were taught how to cook by their mother, and also from home economics classes taught at school. While it did take longer, the meals were often healthier, made from scratch without any processed shortcuts. There was something special about that slower pace, where you could really savor the process and the results. Rediscover your past by digitizing your family's memories with Legacy Box. Watch until the end of this video to find out more about preserving your legacy, and then visit legacybox.com/recollection. Sending a fax was once the fastest way to send important documents from one business to another. Before email took over, fax machines were the primary tool in any office. First, you'd place your document in the machine, then dial the number, and listen for that familiar screeching sound as the fax went through. Sometimes you'd have to deal with a busy signal and try again, but it would eventually go through. Sure, the copies weren't always the clearest, but they got the job done, and there was a certain satisfaction in knowing you could send a document halfway across the world in just minutes. Doing laundry by hand not only got your clothes clean, but it was a real workout. Scrubbing, rinsing, and wringing out each item took effort, meaning many people didn't have automatic washing machines until years later. Then there was hanging the clothes out to dry on a clothesline in the yard. There was nothing quite like the fresh scent of clothes dried in the open air, crisp and sun-kissed, as long as it didn't rain. It was a much simpler time, when taking care of chores meant more than just tossing them in a machine and walking away. Sometimes you had to do things the hard way. Before Google and automatic spell check, if you wanted to know how to spell a word or what it meant, you'd have to turn to a dictionary. That big, heavy book that just about everyone owned was essential. Finding a word wasn't always quick. It meant you needed to understand how to find things alphabetically. But flipping through those pages also sometimes led you to new and interesting words along the way. Every home and classroom had one, and it was a go-to for students, writers, and anyone who needed to double-check their work. Shorthand was a skill that set you apart, especially in an office environment a few decades ago. Taking notes at lightning speed was a huge advantage, whether you were in a meeting, on a phone call, or dictating a conversation. Learning those unique symbols and abbreviations was like mastering a secret code, and it felt pretty cool to be able to write faster than most people could talk. Long before texting came along, shorthand was the original way to communicate quickly and efficiently, and it was a skill that made you a professional. Picture taking used to be way more than just tapping a button on your phone. There was a kind of special magic in knowing how to operate a 35mm camera manually, which included loading and unloading film. You had to be precise, making sure not to expose the roll to light. And once the film was loaded, every single shot mattered, because you only had a limited number of exposures. After taking your pictures, there was an excitement while waiting for them to be developed, not knowing exactly what you'd captured until the prints were in your hands. Long before Google changed the way we searched for phone numbers and reviews of businesses, the phone book was the go-to source for finding help. That big, thick book sat by the phone, ready to help you track down any contact or business you needed. Finding someone's number in the white pages was often tricky, especially if they had a common last name, so it was helpful if you had their address too. The yellow pages were the place to find a reputable business, from plumbers to pizza shops. Every business wanted a huge ad in the yellow pages, and many even named their business so that they would show up first. Think about all those businesses that were called ABC or AAA. Navigating the phone book was an essential skill that everyone used to master back in the day. At Recollection Road, I believe preserving the past is incredibly important, and our friends at Legacy Box do too. So much so, they've offered my viewers a code for 55% off. In today's digital age, analog media like VHS tapes and film reels are fading, risking the loss of cherished memories due to things like mold, dust, and time. But Legacy Box, trusted by over 1.5 million families, offers a simple and safe solution to protect your memories before it's too late. With Legacy Box, you can convert your analog treasures into digital memories effortlessly. Send your VHS tapes, camcorder tapes, and pictures to Legacy Box, and like magic, receive back your originals and digital copies for easy enjoyment, sharing, and organization. And here's the kicker. For a limited time, enjoy an exclusive 55% discount at legacybox.com/recollection. Don't let your memories fade. Preserve your past today with Legacy Box. Buy today to take advantage of this exclusive offer and send them in whenever you're ready. Go to legacybox.com/recollection to save 55% while supplies last. Before calculators became common in the 1970s, the slide rule was the tool of choice for anyone needing to do complex math. Engineers, scientists, and students all relied on this handy device to calculate everything from basic arithmetic to advanced equations. Using a slide rule took skill, requiring you to understand the math behind it and carefully move the sliders to get the right answer. Learning to use a slide rule was a rite of passage in high school, and while it has been replaced by modern technology, there was joy in understanding such a precise manual tool. Canning was a tradition that brought many families together, preserving whatever harvest they could from their garden. It was time-consuming work that included sterilizing jars, prepping food, and making sure each jar was sealed just right. But after seeing all of those jars lined up, filled with fruit, vegetables, and jams, there was a deep sense of accomplishment. It was a way to ensure you had food stored away for the winter, providing a sense of security through those cold winter months. Plus, nothing beat the flavor of homemade fruit preserves. Wallpaper was something that used to be very prevalent in homes across the country, and so that meant many people knew how to properly hang and remove wallpaper. Not only did it cover your walls, but there was a lot of technique that made every pattern match perfectly, without any wrinkles. It was a time-consuming process, from choosing a pattern to removing the old wallpaper before starting, but the result added style and expression to any room. This was one of the original DIY projects for homeowners, long before HGTV. Changing your own oil was a rite of passage for many young men. It was one of those things that you would learn from your dad, or maybe even an auto shop class at school. Not being afraid to climb under the car and get a little dirty was a satisfying feeling, especially knowing you were saving money and maintaining your engine. Changing your oil yourself was also a point of pride for anyone who enjoyed being in the garage and working with their hands. Patience was just a necessary part of life back then. Whether it was waiting for a letter in the mail, watching bread rise, or even dialing a number on a rotary phone, things just took time. And in a way, that was a good thing. It taught you to slow down, appreciate the process, and not rush through life. Patience was more than just a virtue. It was a way of life that made everything a little more rewarding in the end. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and make sure to check the description of this video for links to pick up a t-shirt and sign up for the newsletter. Thank you to our loyal Patreon supporters listed here. Visit patreon.com/recollectionroad to join the club. As always, thank you so much for watching.